Welcome to Revolutionary Motion, where we show you tennis from a different perspective. Are you struggling to keep your approach shots inside the court? Here's why. Most players, when they're trying to hit an approach shot, aim pretty deep, hit the ball close to the baseline, and from time to time tend to hit their shots out. The reason is very simple: you're lifting your shots. So if you're trying to hit an approach shot, what you should first of all do is try to aim very short inside the court, especially on the shorter and higher balls, because that gives you way less risk of hitting it out. The second thing you need to do is, you need to make sure that your racket is closed when you make contact with the ball. What does racket being closed mean? The racket points slightly down. Now, if you're trying to hit an approach shot and you get a really high ball, you need to make sure that you can hit through the ball from the top in order to hit the ball down. Those two things, keeping your racket closed and hitting down on the ball, are the easiest way to keep your approach shots inside the court. If, on the other hand, you're trying to give some topspin to the ball from the bottom of the ball and you're lifting it, you're way more likely to miss your balls deep, especially if you add some pace to your shots. So it's really important that you understand that in order to hit the ball from the top with a racket that's being closed, you need to make sure that your backswing is high enough and you don't drop your racket under the ball. And what this means is, don't drop the racket under the point where the ball will be when you make contact with it. So if you get a very high ball, obviously the ball bounces higher than where my racket was just now. But the ball will come back down and you will want to hit it around shoulder level to get on top of the ball. So that means your racket head cannot drop below shoulder level before you start accelerating forward into your shots. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this applies to basically any shot that you're trying to accelerate. If you're thinking about the baseline, if you're trying to hit the ball decently hard but not very hard, you're more likely to lift it because you're trying to add some topspin from under the ball. Your trajectory is going to be more of like a U shape, so the ball is going to come back down. The harder you hit, the more the ball travels in a straight line, so the less it will drop. So if you add the same exact angle to your baseline shot with a harder shot, and you have your racket pointing upwards, the ball will go out. So the harder you hit, the more your racket head has to be closed. Now, looking at the approach shot, especially when the ball is really high, your racket has to be closed quite a lot, because otherwise you're just going to overhit, because the court is now much shorter than when you're hitting from behind the baseline. So in conclusion, make sure that when you're attacking your approach shots, you're trying to keep your arm up high so your backswing doesn't allow the racket head to get below the contact point. Make sure your racket head stays closed so you can take the ball from the top and swing down on it. And now here we have an example of Kata using an Eastern grip and hitting down on her approach shots, making sure that the racket is closed and never points down before the contact point. And now, as a contrast, we have me using a very extreme Western grip, doing the same exact thing, making sure to close the racket in the contact point and hitting down onto the ball. And now we'll show you guys the same thing a little bit faster so you can see how it looks when it's not in a slow motion. A couple shots for Kata, and then after that a couple of shots from my side.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.